Hello guys, how y'all doing? My name is Sia. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, it's been years and years since I last made a book review. So today I'm gonna do one of this book called Strange Pictures by Uketsu. Now I purchased this book about 6 days ago, and exactly 6 days later I finished it. Given chances, I would love to finish it earlier, but because I got many other adult responsibilities I cannot left behind, I can only read like one chapter per day, or sometimes not at all. So that's why it took me 6 days. Now a little bit backstory. I was supposed to buy this online, like the physical book online, because number one, it's much cheaper there. Number two, it was recommended to me from there. But then I forgot about it. I never really checked out the book. So I was walking one day at the bookstore. I have nothing particular in mind. I was just trying to see what kind of discounts they had there, and then I saw this book on the shelf on its own, and I thought, hey, isn't that supposed to be the book that I was supposed to get? Once I saw this book on its own, I thought, I gotta have that. From what I learned about this book is that there are so many graphics in it, pictures. I mean, as stated from the title itself, strange pictures. Of course, there's gonna be some pictures in this book. This is one of the books that I thought deserve to be paid in retails and deserve to be read as quickly as I can. Anyway, the reason why I pick up this book is because I know it's gonna be like a series of pictures, or at least to my understanding it's gonna be pictures drawn by people shortly before their death or shortly after they committed something horrendous, and there's something about that speaks to me. When I first read this book, I went to a coffee shop, and I only have like 45 to an hour to spare at this coffee shop. And I remember from the moment I sat down with my drink, I barely even sipped my drink. A little bit shout out to the translator. I think the story is already compelling, but he make it so much easier to digest. So kudos to Jim, Rion. So thank you, Jim, for translating this. I have the time of my life reading it, so thanks a lot. Because English is obviously not my first language, it's my second. Of course, you gotta have to capture my attention right away. And the first chapter basically tells a story about a drawing that was drawn by a girl, a child, who was supposed to have killed her mother. The question there, because the one who shows this picture was a psychiatrist, and she asked her student, because she was having a lecture there, she asked her student, does she deserve, like this child who killed her mom and then draw this picture, does she deserve a rehabilitation? Does she deserve to be sent back to the society? Because that's what Japanese people does to young juvenile, right? They rehab, they do a little bit of rehab, and then they send them back to the society after a couple of years once they grow into an adult. Like they focuses more than on that, which is quite different. I learned from American. It's quite different. If you kill somebody, there's a chance that you might be trial as an adult and whatever, and then you stay there forever in the jail. Bit different, I learned. The Japanese, they try to rehab you and then send you back to the society. We were told the child killed her mom, and then does she deserve a second chance, basically. So there are two strangers from the same college, and they're friends, and then one of them introduces a blog that seemingly is so normal, but actually hidden something else far more sinister than anyone would have ever thought. And then he introduced, when he introduced this blog to his friend have no idea what it is all about, and so he read it and he thought, this seems like a normal thing, it's a blog about a man who just got married, and then he's starting out this blog because he just wanted to share his life with the world. And then there's something between the lines where there's some worries of oversharing on the internet. At first he was so open, and then suddenly he said, oh yeah, it's kind of like the privacy thingy, and then suddenly there's a series of pictures, there's 3 of them to be exact, that was supposedly drawn by his wife. Like this guy who wrote this blog even documented the whole thing, like, the moment he got married, and then they're starting a family, and then the wife get pregnant and everything, and then the series, this is where things started to take a strange turn. A series of pictures drawn by the wife, and he said that his wife was an artist, so she started drawing this, and then he posted them. So the first picture, it was a picture of a child in the womb, and then the second one is an elderly woman praying for forgiveness or something, and then the last one is a picture of a man who I guess supposed to be the creator of the blog himself, and then a child, a boy. And he thought the stranger that read this blog, he thought it was a bit strange, because why aren't there any pictures of the mother? Because she's the one who drew this. Of course, obviously there's gonna be a picture of the mother as well. And then this is the kind of like thoughts that puzzles him a lot, and he wants to ask his friend on their next meeting, like if they met again, he's gonna ask his friend, the strangers, like gonna ask his friend who introduced this blog. And then he continuously reading further down the blog, and then he saw that there is no post after the post where the blogger said, oh yeah, my wife have to go into labor. And then there's no post after that. For the next 3 freaking years, no post whatsoever. Now he thought that was a bit strange. And then finally, there's like one final post. After 3 years, one final post. A note actually, addressed to the person he loved the most. He didn't say whom. And then he said, somewhere between this line, he was saying, I know what you did. Although I'm sad, I cannot be mad at you. Something about asking for forgiveness for the sins, and then something about loving you forever, and please forgive me. Something like that. Or something like, I forgive you, or he forgives, something like that. So it was a bit weird post, because he was never that poetic before, but suddenly this post, like, what is going on? So the strangers that saw this blog have more questions than ever. Like, what the hell is this blog, gotta ask my friend who introduced it to me. So they were having discussions. When they met again, they had a discussion, and they come across to a couple of like theory of their own. Now this is just bullet points, because I don't want to tell everything, because it will make this video longer than it should. Basically, what they have come about was, perhaps there's like an underlying message between all of this, like a series of photos that a series of drawings that are being posted in the blog. So they try to do the composite thing, like so many, like, put it and layer it, them up together, and then they come up with an image. Maybe there's a subliminal message hidden there. And then there's even a theory about a third person that was living with them, because suddenly there's a question about privacy. Maybe an older, like, parents or something, because parents, they worried about the child a lot. And then there's even a theory that the mom of the child died. There's so many questions basically. But anyway, second chapter start with a picture of a smudge room. It looks like a chapter that could stand on its own for whatever reason, and it tells a story about a young boy living with his mother, who he thought to himself that the mother looks a bit distant, and his father died 3 years ago. So there's a lot of like weirdness that was going on in this household of like a mother and a child. Like, there's like some thing was a bit off there, but she tried to make the best out of everything. You know, the child moms tried to cater to the child's needs, even though there's plenty of things are lacking there. It's a very confusing chapter, to be honest. Even I don't understand it at times. I was like, what am I reading? You know, it's a bit weird to me. And then what really hits me is at the very end of the chapter was everybody noticed something weird about the mom. And people saw it, but nobody wants to say anything. And then they make a notice that is that person's really this child mom? And people were like, yeah, what about it? And then they make a single commentary there that I was like, damn, okay, now I notice what's weird about this chapter. They make a notice that this person is wearing way too much makeup for somebody of her own age. And by her own age, they meant like this person who's supposed to be the child's mom looks more like a grandma than a mother, like, because she's in her 60s, and she is like basically a 60-year-old grandma who wears way too much makeup and then send her sons to school, her boy to school. And people take notice of that, but nobody wants to say anything because they're probably afraid they might offend her or something. And this is where it's just like light bulb starts to light up, and I was like, oh, so that's where the strangeness came from. So stepmom will probably not be a stepmom, like there's a lot of question there, but mainly it was like, why is the stepmom is so old? Could it be that she's like the child's grandma? And then is she trying to cover something? Because why put a makeup on yourself, like that much makeup on yourself, if you're not trying to hide something? Like, this is the only conclusion I can draw from this chapter, because I was confused about everything else, because there's like a thing about the child himself trying to connect the dots that, like, you know, my mom died and my dad showed me the grave and then say that this is my true mom and whatever, and then I don't get it, blah 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 blah. And then, I mean, that's the only thing that I take out from this chapter basically, is that the grandma is wearing way too much makeup, like she's hiding something. Like, that's the only thing I could come out with. Anyway, fast forward to the next chapter. Now this is where I think Strange Pictures started to get very, and I mean that, like very, very good. But up until then, I feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm patching up all these like jigsaw puzzles, and then some weird things going on chapter 2 which I don't really understand about. Like, it's probably a granny trying to hide something, I don't know. And then chapter 3 is where I feel like a little bit light has been shed here, you know, like somebody basically switch on the torchlight and show it to my face, girl, this is the answer you've been looking for. So chapter 3 is where it started to get good. Now, the way chapter 3 was built is basically off a drawing left behind by an art teacher who passed away a couple of years ago. Now, this happens in, I think, 1995, because the way the stories goes in this book is that the year was never clear. Well, actually, the year was clear, but you gotta be very alert about that, or else you're gonna get lost in a train. So beware of the year that was shown before the story starts. So it happens 1995. Basically, somebody was digging into a strange death of an art teacher. He died a very gruesome death, but nobody could ever figure out the motives behind this gruesome act. First of all, he's only like an art teacher without any debts. Like, he didn't collect any debts. He was not well liked. However, a lot of people, they heard about his death, they were like, oh yeah, good riddance. Like, nobody likes this art teacher. The student of his, however, is one of few people who have seen him not being a, you know, not being a detestable human being. Like, he has seen his kindness, and he felt like he felt like it almost like, you know, because everybody hates this art teacher so much, he felt like it's almost wrong to mourn him when he found out that he died. That he was like, I mean, it's always on his back of his mind, like he was like, one day when I become somebody, a reporter perhaps, I will start to find out the truth, because I want to know what happened to my art teacher. You know what, when you have somebody who actually have a good impact in your life, and then he was like universally hated, could not openly mourn for him, and then now you're earning this position of power to do some investigating. So this guy, newspaper reporter, saw his chances, started to dig, he started to investigate, he started to read about this art teacher, who his name was Mr. Miura, his last whereabouts, his last trails, what was he doing, his last activity before he died, you know, and he have a timeline map out. And then he was thinking like, okay, out of all of these things, the only thing that really jumped at him is basically the last drawing that he ever drew before he passed away. And it was basically a drawing of a mountain with a broken rail. And he was like, yeah, this is what he drew. So there's a couple of, you know, a couple of like conclusion came from the police that maybe he died the morning before, like after he ate, because of the content of his stomach, because, you know, somebody kills him, bash him, so they couldn't really see the condition of his body and whatever. But so they only like decided that, okay, human digestive systems can digest food after 2.5 hours after they eat. He must have died then. But this newspaper reporter thinks, could be, or maybe I could just like do whatever he was doing and see what is up, you know. So he decided, after doing all this investigation and after interviewing a couple of people who was close to Mr. Miura. The first one is obviously Mr. Miura's wife. Once he interviewed her, she said something about, Miura is a nice man, but our marriage is quite strained at the time, and then there's something about they're kind of like bickering about the parental, like how they're gonna parent their child, their only child. So there's some like difference of opinion there, because Mr. Miura is very strict. It's like his way or no way, and then the missus is kind of like, you know, it's our child, we should treat him with care, you know, no need to be aggressive with him all the time. If he doesn't want to do something, don't force him to do it. And she was that kind. And then of course their marriage is strained because of that, you know, different style in parenting, so they bicker a lot. But she's very sad when the husband passed away, and in that matter. So the newspaper reporter thought, could she be the one? But then she had the alibi, like, you know, if you follow the police investigation, she probably have the alibi. She actually had the alibi to not do it, because she was away at the time. And then he went to the second suspect, which is Mr. Miura co-worker. Now this is a friend from his college days. They were quite tight, and these co-workers certainly have talent, because they both are art students. But it's pretty obvious from the get-go that this co-worker has so much talent, far more talent than Mr. Miura. It's only like luck is not really on his side. He has quite a temper, and then he fought with his co-workers, and then he was unemployed at one time, and then Mr. Miura took a pity on him, so he kind of like recommended him to work at his school as his assistant and whatever, yada yada yada, and now he have a job thanks to Mr. Miura. But their relationship was not really great either, because Mr. Miura have his way of kind of like bullying people to do things that he wanted and never what they wanted. Like for example, if this co-worker just wanted to stay in on Sunday not doing anything, Mr. Miura will find a way to just drag his sorry your end to just do whatever Mr. Miura wants. Like for example, if Mr. Miura wants to go hiking, then this friend better came along, because remember when you don't have a job, who gave it to you? It was me, boy. So it's kind of like that kind of like situation with them. So in a way, this co-worker also don't like Mr. Miura. So I guess Mr. Miura doesn't have the best repertoire with the wife, the co-worker. Now we're left with the third suspect. Now this third suspect is Mr. Miura student, a female student that also he helped. So I guess there's a kindness in Mr. Miura that nobody could see, you know. So this student, the way that how she became close to Mr. Miura is that she attended one of his art lesson classes, and while everybody else just left the freaking club because they could not stand Mr. Miura, she's the only one who stays. And of course Mr. Miura takes a special attention to her, not in a weird way, just like a parental figure, you know, because the kid, you know, the girl was having some problems back home, and she just rather be there than go home. So Mr. Miura take a special care of her. They become close, I guess, in a way. And she said that even though she doesn't like Mr. Miura because of his, like, you know, strictness at times, she's very saddened when she learned that he passed away. She's very sad about that, and it is a sentiment that she shared with the newspaper reporter. Like, this is something that they both felt like, oh, we kind of like him, but not really. Kind of want to mourn him, but everybody else hate him, so kind of weird to do that. So that's kind of like sentiment that they share together. Now, mind you, these three these three people are very important, very pertinent to the story. He gained some insights about Mr. Miura as a person, but not really on how much, who did it, who have the most motive of them all. Like, he have no idea because everybody seems to have an alibi. So this newspaper reporter decided to take upon himself to do the hike himself, to walk on the dead man's shoes, basically. What Mr. Miura see on his last day. And he actually figured out something. What he actually discovered was Mr. Miura's actual time of death. It was not as the police think, actually. It was done the day after, not the day before, because they all thought, oh, this happened the day before because of the, you know, food digest, whatever. But when he did it, he realized there's no possible way. He started to do a little this, do a little that, and he was like, okay, I get it now, what happened that night or that day. Now all I gotta do is to just, you know, go home and tell everybody. But obviously he couldn't, because this is a mountain and he only went there alone. Besides, it will be too dangerous to hike down because it's already at, you know, started to get dark. It's be too dangerous, so he have to spend the freaking night. Now this is where the story starts to give me chills. Like, I literally felt goosebumps rising on my freaking hair and everything. Basically, we found out what happened to Mr. Miura 3 years ago, based from this soul freaking events alone. Just like the movie Vanishing, really gives me the Vanishing movie vibes. What happened to my fiance who went missing many years ago? Well, now you know. Now you know. Basically, the newspaper reporter met his untimely demise here. He died. Now, how he died, I'm not gonna spoil it to you, but if you want to know what happened to him, better pick this up. We're almost at the end of the story. Now this is where it got good, because after his death there's some arrest. Turns out this arrest was done by one of the newspaper reporter colleague, like one of his senior. Like, he started to connect the dots and he said, oh my gosh, how can I not see this sooner? Now, if you guys remember about those 3 drawings that was drawn by a mother depicting her unborn son, an older woman begging for forgiveness, and then her husband and the child, a little bit grown up, but without her in it. the last chapter basically shown the reasoning, but before that it was revealed the reason behind all of these strange things that's been going on in this book. So let's just start with the person that's being apprehended, Naomi. So the man, like the news reporter colleague that busted basically this whole story, he have a cancer. He got stabbed somehow because it was a part of the plan. Get yourself stabbed, now Naomi is in jail, we can open up all the other cases that are related to her. So that's the plan, and they did it, and now he felt like, now I can die freely because of cancer. But then something happened. While he's in the hospital getting treated for his injuries, he met this stranger. Now if you guys remember, on the first chapter I did mention something about two strangers found a vlog, and then they start talking about it and making their own deduction by themselves, like theories upon theories upon theories about what actually happened to the owner of the blog, because after 2009 he stopped posting, and they wonder why. And so it happens the next person who the person who stays on the bed besides him was this one of the strangers. They trade stories basically, and the first part about Naomi, eventually we learn Naomi's sons actually passed away from suicide. Unfortunately, he hangs himself 3 years after his wife's death. But that's not the interesting part to me. What interesting part to me is that if you remember, of the third suspect, she used to come to Naomi's house to check upon both of them. Something happened to her after that, like, you know, she lost her job and then she started working in a convenience store, and so it happens while she's working there, she met with Naomi's own son again. And then something happened between the two of them. Basically they started to hang out again, and then shortly after they started dating, and it was Naomi's own sons who asked her out first. And this is where, like, I got basically a flashback of all things I have read, like all about the blogs, all about the mysterious identity of the wife and everything. I was like, oh my god, I started to make the connection. This is the very chapter that makes me, oh my god, like have that connection. Oh my god, did a student married Mr. Miura's sons? Did she did that despite having those obvious feelings of Mr. Miura many years ago, and marry him she did. They get married, and of course Mr. I guess it's no secret anymore, Mr. Miura's sons was Naomi's sons. Now he have grown up, he met with one of his students, former students, and then they fall in love, and now they want to get married. And now obviously the age gap factor was so strong on this one, because basically she used to go to his house and play with the child herself, so now she's marrying him after reconnecting after so long. I mean, that part alone was just mind blowing to me. I was like, oh my god, it was the same student, it was the same person. This enigma that I was thinking of, who are you, why are you dead, do you know you're gonna die, like whatever. This enigma now has a name and has her own identity. Like, I have known her from the previous chapter 3, and I was super shocked. I was like, I have to contain my excitement, contain my smile, contain everything, because I was super excited. I don't think I can finish this book if I keep it going, so I was like, yes, it's her. Now calm down, we're gonna finish this. So I continue reading, and I realized that Mrs. Naomi herself, she approved the marriage. somehow, despite thinking that, well, they're kind of like siblings because they kind of like grow up together. But then again, if my sons love this woman so much, so be it, you know, I'm gonna accept her. And I thought, oh, well, that's very noble of you, because some, you know, some mothers wouldn't want their children to marry somebody older than them. It would be like a scandal, right? But not Naomi. She was like, yeah, why not, you know? So they get married, you know, and that's when, around the time that the blog starts to appear, because he started writing then, because he wants to announce about his life and whatever. So a month after their marriage, Naomi's daughter-in-law started to have those signs of morning sickness, meaning that she's with a child. And because Naomi herself is a midwife, because of her strong desire, I guess, to protect children, whatever, she decided to dive into that career path. And obviously she noticed the signs, the early signs, so everybody's happy to have this child. But then something happened inside Naomi's own little world. Something happened there. Like, basically she started to harbor some nasty feelings about her daughter-in-law. Like, I don't know if it's jealousy or what, or maybe she's just hated the fact that the daughter-in-law is gonna be a mother or something. Like, she wants the baby inside of her, but not her herself. Like, she doesn't want her daughter-in-law to be turned into a mother. So you know what she did? She basically tampered with her pills. Like, she said that it was something for, you know, postnatal kind of pills, good for you, but actually it was like a pills filled with sodium. And the daughter-in-law just ate it without suspecting anything, or so it seems, until those weird drawings start to come out. And she said it's super easy to make it happen anyways, because number one, it's going to be a difficult birth anyway, and then number two, her blood pressure is always high. So if you have if you have a high blood pressure, you don't want to be eating any sodium. But she was making her daughter-in-law overdose every single freaking day. Once it's time to give birth, obviously the daughter-in-law didn't make it. Naomi thought to herself, you know, if she survives, I'll let them be. If she's not, she doesn't survive, then so it be. But a couple of years after that, her son figured out. He successfully decoded the message behind those pictures. Like, you know, those unborn child, and the mother asking for forgiveness, and then the pictures of the child and himself. There might be a possibility that the daughter-in-law knows what was up, but she never said anything because she obviously considered that as her family. Like, she got nowhere else to go. Even if she goes, like, what is she gonna do? She got no job, no nothing, no family, other family than her husband's family. So she kind of like endured it. Like, she knows she's gonna die, she knows she's not gonna make it, but she endured it for the sake of the unborn child in her womb. So the husband, Naomi's sons, figured that out 3 years later. So what he did was to write on a message on his own blog saying all of the stuff, and then unalive himself. It really hits me that Naomi is no longer doing this. Like, all of this murder on her wake, she no longer do it for the name of justice or whatever. First person she killed was her own mom, but that's because she was abusing her, so that's kind of like warranted. The second one was her husband, because she thought that her husband started to abuse her child, making him do things that he doesn't want to be doing. That even that is very, very, honestly, to me, I think it's very, very shaky ground at best, because obviously you guys have a very different way to raise a child, so why not get a divorce? Because I learned that she is a midwife, so you still have like a job to go back to. You can raise your child by being, you know, even being divorced with your husband, you can still raise your child. But instead of doing that, she just chose to murder him, which I thought a bit like, why? You can just divorce his ass and just move on with your life. But she doesn't want to do that. Now, the third murder is the co-worker murder, right? So, of course, obviously, he was abusing her. And now he's have scarred her child. But still, you know, you can just like move away or something. But then again, there's a secret. So maybe he's supposed to die. Yes, probably, you know, because he's evil himself. But then, what about the daughter-in-law? Like, what have she done except from, I wouldn't say groom her, because, you know, they met a couple of years later. She didn't do it. I don't think it was intentional, really. Maybe because you know, the thing is, the daughter-in-law did say something about, you know what, since that we're started to become a family, I wanted to tell you the truth about many years ago. I used to like Mr. Miura, but she, you know, it was just that. It was just infatuation, and that's it. I used to like him, and now that, you know, your son is already grown up, kind of look like him, and there's nothing to it. I don't find him at like a replacement of Mr. Miura. It just is, you know, he was kind, whatever, and I like him and stuff like that. And she did came clean to her, but it's Naomi who just like didn't know what to do with that information. I guess she was like, I guess a bit stunned with the confession from her daughter-in-law, and maybe that's when she started to concoct that little plan, devious plan of killing her. Like, I think that's where her maternal instinct starts to become a little bit crazy. I think that's like who kills people just so that I mean, who is she saving her grandson from? Certainly not herself, because I think she's the problem here. It started to look like she's a problem here. Like, you're running, it feels to me, Naomi, you are running out of excuse. Now you're just murdering people out of jealousy, not maternal instinct as you call it is, or whatever. It's just in your head. You just want to kill people again, don't you? And of course, a little bit like consequences out of that is her own son's death. Like, he committed, like he unalived himself because after, you know, finding out the truth. And to me, I think that's like, it may not be at your own hands, but you play a part in that. Like, your son is dead now because of you, because he found out what you have done to his wife, his beloved wife. Because from the blog, I can see that they are very happy together. Like, they completed each other. Like, it was just beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship developing, and now she kills that because of, I don't know, maternal instinct. Sounds dumb to me. The newspaper newspaper reporter friends didn't know that there's a possibility that Naomi might have murdered her own daughter-in-law, but he thought, hey, wait a second, it could, I mean, this information, I mean, we could do something about this. Like, this could be a thing, you know. And then they're having like some discussion about cancer. Obviously, this friend needs to have like a surgery, and he doesn't want to do it because he thought there's no way I can survive this. But then the stranger who read the blog said, you know what, you should do it, and then you should adopt the child, because now he's all alone, and who knows what might happen in the future if there's no one there to hold his hand and lead him to the right way. And then the guy think again, and since he doesn't have anyone in his life, like no direct family members or whatever, so he started thinking to himself and said, yeah, I might as well do it. And then the epilogue, right? So he did adopt the child. The newspaper reporter friends did adopt the child, and I guess based from the last epilogue, I can say that he is the same way as his dad. Like, they have the same mannerism, very shy, kept to themselves, and he doesn't really like meat that much. Something that was just similar as his dad, because his dad also doesn't like meat that much, but he was being forced by his own father, Mr. Miura, at the time, to eat meat like a man, you know. But This time nobody's forcing him to eat meat. Everybody was just very compliant and saying, oh, if you don't like meat, we can cook something else for you. And the story ended with them basically cooking like a noodle or something, and then finished. So I guess it's really up to readers' own interpretation what happens next. I mean, could Naomi's grandson turn out just like his dad, or maybe not under proper guidance? It's very giving like nature versus nurture kind of thing. But honestly, Strange Pictures is one of the most, I wouldn't say weirdest, but one of the most compelling book I have read in the past couple of years. I really like it when a book makes me don't want to drop it, like keep on turning those pages, baby, because you're gonna discover something. Like that's what it's giving me, and I love every second of it. I mean, to be honest, I would go for a couple of pages, chapters, because I feel like I missed out something there, like a clue. I missed out some clue there, here and there. So I might reread this again. And while I was sitting here, I was wondering if they were like planning on a movie or something, a TV series perhaps, to cover this whole book, because this is so interesting. I love it. I freaking love it. Now I think I have discovered my new favorite author, Uketsu-san. Oh, he also have other books called Strange Houses and Strange Buildings. Why am I noticing this only now? Strange Houses and Strange Buildings. I'm gonna try to find that book soon enough. Maybe I'll find it online perhaps, because when I go to that bookstore, this is the only Uketsu book that I could find. And yeah. Oh! My bookmark for this book. Like I always try to find a bookmark that are similar to a book I was reading. Like if it's about a cat, then there's gonna be a bookmark with the cat pictures on it or something like that. Just to, I don't know, just to motivate me to turn those pages, just to see those, just to find those bookmarks again. But anyway, final rating for this book, I give it a 4 on Goodreads. 4 out of 5. Okay, deduct 1.1 stars. Deduct 1 star because it was confusing to me. Like it was like murder mystery but not done backwards, only all over the place. I mean, to put them all together was just a bit of a chore for me, and it's a time that I don't really have, so deduct 1 point there. But otherwise I really enjoyed it. So there you go guys, that has been my review for Strange Pictures by Uketsu. And I actually have a couple more books that I'm going to do some reviews. Hopefully if it moves me so much, I'll make it as soon as I could. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I guess that's where we say goodbye. Please leave me a like if you like my review or not. Really up to you, really. Subscribe if you want to. I mean, I'm not forcing anybody to do anything they don't want. So with that being said and done guys, thank you so much for watching. I guess I see you soon on my next one.